Well, this is John and Steve from Midlands Metalheads, day 3 in actual fact,
yes,
of HRH Prog 7 in Metalheads, North Wales. And today we're speaking with Luna Rossa.
Hello.
Hello. Obviously fresh from your set last night.
Yeah.
Fresh is probably not
Fresh.
the word,
Well, it is 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Come on.
Crack of 12.
Yeah.
The crack of 12. How did it go?
Brilliant.
Very good.
Actually,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we
Lovely.
think so.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, you are
Yeah.
biased, but there you go.
Well,
yeah.
it was interesting because stage 2, we haven't played on stage 2 before, but it was quite a heavy lineup in some ways, and obviously
Yes,
what we
it
do
was.
is quite mellow.
Yeah.
So we sort of thought, on at 8 o'clock on a Friday night,
Yeah.
on a quite a heavy stage in a way, and we weren't sure how it was going to go down, but everyone stayed and people came in, and
Yeah.
so it was a really good response.
Yeah, you always.
I think in fairness it was a very eclectic bill yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, which is great.
It's
Yeah.
nice to have the different textures of music,
Yeah,
isn't it? So
yeah.
hopefully
And we spoke to No yesterday, and they did an acoustic set.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
slightly more electrified,
Yeah.
but they're very much on that,
Yeah.
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 Because you do, I
chilled
think,
out end of.
I think as well, because there's sort of food things at the back, and you sort of think, are people going to listen? And there's always a nice hubbub, but actually we had a really attentive audience in there, and really listening crowd.
Because I did a preview show last week
Yeah.
and played, that teaser you put out for the new album.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played that right at the end.
Yeah.
And it just, putting that show together, it just made me realise what a diverse collection of bands and styles we've got over the weekend. It's just amazing,
Yeah.
And I actually came in, because we were in here most of the day, I actually came in on your set right at the end, and I could see you were getting some really good, applause from the audience. Yeah.
And also they were responsive in terms of, whatever you say to them, they were sort of interacting as well, which is really nice. It wasn't just sort of, you can't really hear you. I think the sound was really good, which helps, and the lighting apparently was lovely as well. So.
Yeah, and we did make a decision to start off with a song that's a cappella, because you kind of think, right, either they're going to be quiet and listen, or they're not. So it's a bit of a risk, but it really works.
Sets the scene.
You made the decision, and I had to sing it.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I'll let you start the set.
I think it was nice in a way, because it was a nice break from the rest of the day, and I think you need that almost breathing space in a way.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think your ears need a break sometimes from.
Because the two bands that followed you were quite intense.
Different again, yeah.
But everyone's been lovely. I mean, the bands, we were speaking to them before they went on, and obviously the final band as well, who were lacking a singer. In fact, they were sort of saying, "Can you come and do it?"
We met the guy who sang
did
for them.
you?
Yeah,
Neil from the Amber Heard.
Oh, was he? I didn't know.
Nice
Using
guy.
his phone as a...
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's
Watch of the Skies, was it? Which one did he do?
He did Watcher of the Skies and Tom Sawyer.
Yeah.
I did say to him, I said, oh, you did Watcher of the Phone.
Yeah.
I love it. He did slip up a bit during that. I was like, oh, Neil. He came in at the wrong point.
It's probably harder than you think, isn't it? You're singing along to the record.
He did tell us that they did have a 20-pint thing of cider in their caravan.
Oh,
so
that's right.
So that could be why.
Yeah.
Oh, so because he'd already played his 2.
Yeah, so I think they have been relaxing.
And he was unwinding before that.
I mean, talk about put under the spotlight. Oh my!
But that's what's nice about the spirit of an event like this, is that everyone wants to help each other.
It's very supportive, isn't it?
And literally, we were all kind of saying, "Oh, well, who can we find that knows the songs that can sing?" And then sort of people were texting each other, and the crew were texting their mates who were singing. So there was a lot of activity trying to help them out, and everyone felt them. We went back and watched them later on. And, but yeah, it was so everyone, all the bands were great and lovely people, and that helps really. The
crew's brilliant as well. They're so helpful, sort of lugging stuff around and
the sounds. You said the sound in both holes has been really good.
That helps, doesn't it?
Because you've only got a small sound check time, so it's all quick on and off.
It's not even. It's a very quick line check.
Always a tight schedule at a festival.
But so we had about 15 minutes sort of to get ourselves on stage and sort of line checked and then start. And it's normally you'd have to say 2 hours doing that. So 15 minutes is very little time to get everything set up and make sure it's working.
That could be close but no cigar. Wet the Tuscan.
It's okay.
Sorry.
We've salvaged it.
Yeah.
Trash the joints.
Good job it's not gin.
You sure it was Amber Heard on the side? You know what I mean? You can tell us, your secret's safe with us. Come on.
This isn't really water.
I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. So I know Midlands Metalheads listeners will be somewhat familiar with the band, but there may be some that are coming to you too fresh. Do you want to give a very brief potted history of the band, when you formed and how you arrived?
Well, the first Luna Rossa album was 2013.
Yeah.
And Anne and I both have another band called Panic Room.
Panic Room, yeah. Noticed the shoes.
Yeah.
Yes, I've got my Panic Room branded.
Branded shoes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's much more of a full-on rock band.
Yeah.
But I think we were just finding it, and Panic Room also does some songs that are more kind of low-key as well, but we were finding that we were writing some things which were more acoustic. And they didn't really fit in the context of Panic Room, so...
I think we're both sort of fans of the big singer-songwriter tradition anyway, and stuff we've listened to, and been, our influences have come from that background a lot over the years. So, yeah, it was just, we thought we've got so much material, actually. We've got space to create a new album which is something different, rather than trying to shoehorn that into Panic Room unnecessarily,
And the thing as well is when what tends to happen when you're in a band is, you've got 5 people and you've got electric guitar, keyboards, drums, bass, singer. So all the songs you tend to have to think, okay, it's got to fit into that. But with Luna Rossa, we could put harp on it, we could put flute on it, we could put any kind of crazy percussion or anything that we wanted, and there were no constraints because the only people we had to think about were ourselves. Yeah. So it was kind of very freeing in that way.
And so I think on the first album, it was us, but then we also wrote for a string quartet.
Yeah.
On the first album?
Yes.
And the second one, So we'd never done that before. So that was our first experience of writing for strings.
Yeah. Because in fact we did the string parts for the Luna Rossa album, but then before that was released, we because it had worked so well, we used the string quartet on the Skin album with Panic Room. So we literally did cross-pollination. That gives the confidence to think, we can use strings.
Yeah, because we hadn't written for string quartet before, and we were literally sort of Googling the ranges of the instruments, going, okay, I've worked with orchestras before, sort of sung with them, but not actually written parts. So we wrote the parts.
I bet that was a challenge.
Yeah. Interesting though.
Because sometimes what you tend to do is you'll write something and you give it to a string player and they'll say, actually that note's
too low.
I can't go that low, or I can't go that high because it's outside the range of the instruments.
But you write something which you think is difficult, then they just go, and it's just a piece of cake. But we so then that was 2013, and then we released the second one quite quickly, 2014. Secrets and Lies. And then I think we've been so busy really with Panic Room in the ensuing years that this is our third album now, 2008.
Is it a trope?
Atropa. Well, I think we say Atropa.
Yeah.
It's, don't know. People say it in all sorts of ways, but so there was Sleeping Pills and Lullabies first, and then Secrets and Lies. We did play with lots of SNLs, but we ended up with a completely different title. So third album now, and it's been a really busy year for me also, which is it's nice to give it this time to breathe again. And Sarah, so you've recorded with us on.
The last
2014,
So Sarah's like a permanent member of the
Did you play with Heather Finley as well, don't you?
I do, yes. I've solo stuff as well, so lots of different hats. I've got 5 different hats, which I wear, so, but
sometimes on the same day.
Sometimes 3 in the same week.
And Sarah's been playing some of her solo stuff in the Luna Rossa set as well, which has been really
which has been lovely for me to do, and for me to work with Anne and John is a real privilege because they're pushing me to do different things on the harp. Oh yes, because
you didn't want to do on the harp.
You write something that's on the piano, which is a different way of doing it. So you're taking something like that, but putting it in this sort of context on the harp, and to be honest, it's pushed me to be a better player. So I've improved since 2014. So it's good. It's all good actually.
And that
really
process is going to have resulted in you coming up with something original. So that's a completely unique combination.
Yeah. I mean, someone said to us recently, they said I've never had a band. When we went to a venue and they said I've never had a band with as Celtic harp and the backing track, or sort of rhythm and bass and what was it? And djembe as well. So there's quite a lot going on in the one set.
Because you're multi-instrumentalist anyway, aren't you, Andrew, really?
Yeah,
Flute,
also
guitar,
Sarah,
keyboard, and yourself.
We were talking last night actually, so our merch guy and our friend Nigel was saying to us over that last bottle of wine last night.
Hey.
He was saying, he was like, so how many instruments do you play?
John finished it off. John finished the wine off.
I'm a one-trick pony. I just play keyboard.
But he does it very, very well. That's it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Sarah plays the flute as well. I don't play the harp. So, but yeah, between us, there's quite a lot of instruments going on. So
the other main difference we did with this album is we got Gavin, the Panic Room drummer.
Oh yeah.
To drum on some stuff as well. We just wanted to kind of widen the range of the instruments. And it worked really well.
Yeah, and it's very different to the style of drumming you would do with Panic Room. So it's kind of more little grooves and so because he's on tour at the moment. So we've got him sort of for just 3 or 4 tracks condensed into a little box, and but it's great actually because it's his drumming from the album, but we sort of whack the machine and then you can hear Gav playing with us, and so it's it's handy. So he doesn't, because actually even if he was doing the whole live set, there would only be a few songs he was playing on. So we've never done that before. Actually, use sort of BTs and backing tracks. But it's interesting for us. It's a different discipline, and again, it's a different dynamic for the audience, and it's quite nice just to have that to play with.
And it kind of needs to be there, doesn't it? Because they're so integral to the tracks that it wouldn't be the same if they weren't there.
It's nice because every time I hit it, I sort of think of Gav, where he is in the world.
Gav, there he is. Portable Gav.
Yeah. So I mean, so last night in the set we played. How many of the new tracks? We played 15 songs in total. I think we did about 7 or 8 of the new album, and the rest was from the first 2 albums. So it's quite mixed sets.
Yeah, it was interesting to see how the ABBA song went down, because we do a cover of an ABBA song on the album.
Oh really?
But it went down really well. I think people, all these heavy metal fans, see their secret ABBA.
Well, let's face it. I mean, we had
Stephen
Stephen Wilson with Permeating off to the bone. We pissed a lot of people off, didn't it? Although it was a wonderful song, very uplifting.
And he has done an ABBA cover as well.
Yeah.
Well, I think a couple of years ago, was it when we did the Panic Room weekend, and we had a weekend in Bilston. We did, we had lots of different bands playing, and we played a solo set, and it was a lovely weekend. I think it was then that we did that version, when it takes it all. And I was saying, can we ever go? Because I used to be an ABBA fan growing up, and that was one of the first things I tried to play on the piano as a kid, and so we did a version of it, and everyone just loved it. So we thought, we could record it.
See if Nigel was here, he could be ABBA.
Exactly. Yeah.
Benny, obviously.
It's a testament to a great song, isn't it? You get a great song,
and we do it in such a different way.
To be able to take it and sings it, amazingly well. So it's quite a hard song to sing, I think, just with where it is and everything.
Yeah, so it's an interesting range.
A beautiful version, and people really sort of appreciate it.
And I think it was because you sort of say to people, okay, we don't tend to say what the next song's going to be, just saying that you might recognise this, and so you get a lot of guys, it's up front like.
I like it. Really.
And they won't leave because of politeness. I better listen. They love it, and it's nice. We only do a couple of covers, but it's things that we feel we can do something with. So we also do a Todd Rundgren track.
Yeah, bringing it to your own style.
Well, there's no. I think if you're going to do somebody else's song, you have to make it your own. Otherwise, there's no point. You may as well just put the record on.
And we do a Dave Stewart track, which we saw Dave Stewart and Barbara Gaskin recently in London, and it turns out now, because we're working with Burning Shed, the record label, and they're actually on the same label, so we might sort of get an introduction to them, which would be nice.
A collaboration in the works, maybe.
Could we? Yeah.
Because you've all got these different projects going on. You've got Panic Room, you've got your solo, you've got Hair Findlay and all that. How do you find to fit it all in?
Don't sleep. Literally. No.
Are those eyes painted on the eyelids there?
It's been quite a lack of sleep the last few weeks. Yeah, it's a juggling act, and we're talking about this all the time, and you do have to try and be sensible with it. But when you're self-employed, I think, as musicians, it's very hard to stop.
You find you have to do it.
I think you do. I think you do have to do it. I think you've got to go for it and just do it.
I think there's always that ambition, isn't there? So you want to keep driving yourself forward, but there are days, obviously, like everyone in any line of work, where you just think, oh, I'm just exhausted, and do I need to do something different? But then I think with music, if it's a compulsion more than a choice, and it's calling, and
I think people have very odd ideas about musicians. They seem to think, if you've got a CD in the shops, then you're in the studio every day and you've got a swimming pool. And really, almost every musician I know, even people who are fairly famous, they teach, they do other things because it's really difficult to make a living just doing music, which is
it's really difficult not to make a loss.
Well,
yes,
nail-head hit. So that's why people are in so many different projects. Because, you
just have to diversify, and you want to be pushing yourself all the time. You want to be constantly learning. You never attain a level of, accomplishment. It's always wanting to drive to be a better musician and to enjoy exploring, different genres.
It's also not even a choice. It's you get invited if you're a multi-instrumentalist like Sarah. I think you get invited to be on projects because people know, okay, you can do keys, you can do flute, you can do harp. I want that sound. So if someone invites you and you're into that music, then of course you're going to say yeah. Sometimes you take too much on and you think, how am I going to juggle this? I mean, Sarah's been in rehearsals with Heather this week as well as coming to do this gig. So so it's almost like different hard drives in your brain that you need to sort of take out from one day to the next.
How does it sort of fit with loyalties, to the different projects? Do you think you'll ever get to a point where you thought, well, this one seems to be going really well, I really need to back off from the other one, or balancing it?
I think you do. I think you do that all the time, but I think you tend to be, your number one priority is the thing you're doing at the time. It's not going to work otherwise. If you're doing something, but you're focusing on something else you're doing, I can't see how that would work. So, you have to be fully invested in the thing you're doing at the time.
But you were always, I think, it's like I used to play with Most Yorton, but I started off with Panic Room first, and then I ended up...
with Karnataka for a while.
Yeah, well, we were both in Portugal. Obviously, John was one of the former members, and I then joined towards the end. I was there for a couple of years, the band split, and then we decided we wanted to carry on working together, so then we formed Panic Room. And then after a year or so, I think it's around the time we got the first album out, I was invited, because of, again, the multi-instrumentalist thing, I was invited by Most Yorton to play, because their keyboard and flautist was having a baby, so they said, can you come on deck for 9 months? And that became 7 or 8 years. In the end, because because she was busy.
It took that long to have the baby.
Is that Angela Gordon?
Yeah. Obviously, Angela's, and I was going to say about loyalties and things, because we were great friends, and she taught me. I stayed at her house. She taught me all parts, so I ended up playing with them. And she then made the choice that she wanted to spend time with her daughter growing up, and and I was clicking with the band, and but I was also working. I was dividing my time, sometimes 70-30, sometimes 50-50. Working Panic Room, but I didn't songwrite with Most Yorton, so that was always like a session job for me. But in the end, after several years, I got so busy with Panic Room, and that's obviously, as a songwriter, that's where you're going to pursue your main interest. And then Angela was ready to step back in, so it worked nicely. So if it can work like that, then that's great. But sometimes you overload yourself and you have to make a difficult decision. But for me, it's been a case of you follow the flow of what's busy, and Panic Room had been so busy that I physically didn't have enough hours in the day to do anything else. Because we were, it's not just the albums and the touring,
just the
up and down the country.
And of course, the other thing about being in a number of bands is you've got touring schedules to match. So, and bands tend to want to be out at the same time. So which is with Gavin drumming with Fish. Dave and your team with the Rotary band, so we always had to kind of try and fit gigs in between.
Must be a logistical
other things.
Right?
So
to be honest,
and you have to book gigs like 6 months or more in advance.
And that's in a way, I suppose it's a good problem to have if you've got a group of musicians who are all in demand, because that means they're great players. But certainly with Panic Room, it's been all of 2018 has been a case of difficult decisions, logistics, because of the other projects being so demanding. So we've had to sort of, reschedule tour dates a number of times. And in the end, actually, with Luna Rossa, it's actually been a lot easier because there's the three of us and our dates all fitted together.
Yeah.
And we've actually, we're in a 10-date tour now, which has worked really well because we can just you know, and actually I didn't have to move dates. We booked them, you know, and we promoted them and got the album out, which came out yesterday. And it's all flowed actually more easily. So maybe with 3 of us, it's actually a bit easier than trying to juggle 5. But you know.
And have you taken it abroad? Took it to another?
We haven't with doing the Rossa.
Nice.
I didn't think you had.
No, not yet. But lots of people have been inviting us to, which would be great. So it's a case of when we can fit that in. You know.
Well, it's when, and it's as long as it's
financially.
economic.
Yeah.
So with Brexit, you know, what's that going to do to the cost of touring
Don't
abroad?
go there.
So
If we did it, we should do it sort of in the next 2 months.
I mean, we did.
New Year.
Because
Job and knock.
last year we were invited to play at a festival in America.
Yeah, great.
And you know they were offering a tidy sum of money, which would have covered the costs. But when we took into account the visas and everything, it was, you know, we'd have been like 1,800 quid in debt just to play.
And then you're not guaranteed to get the
gig in
visas.
America.
So I mean, America's almost ruled out now for British musicians. It's really hard because.
And the other thing you can't do is, you know, the idea we'd had before is that we could go to America with 1 or 2 dates booked, and then while we're out there, get other dates and make it tour.
Yeah.
But now, on your visa application, you have to list all the dates you're going to play.
Really?
You have to have a note from the promoter or the manager of each venue saying you're going to do it. And if you play one other date and they find out, you're out of the country and you're not coming back.
Yeah,
So
it's really strict. I think they've got more strict over the last few years as well, haven't they?
I think it's different with Cruise to the Edge, isn't it? Because it's actually at sea.
It's a different thing.
So that's why people, I think, can go out there. So we'd love to do that, you know. But meanwhile, it's just it's going into Europe. But again, that's becoming potentially full with issues. But
I think there are a couple of bands who've had the booking agents have basically cancelled tours just with the uncertainty as to what's going on.
It's a shame. And it's vice versa, you know. I was reading what Peter Gabriel was saying about a number of artists who were booked for WOMAD weren't able to come because of the visa restrictions. You know, it was so difficult to get them into the country.
That's ridiculous.
They cancelled it. So.
Crazy.
but it's
you know, because music's international. It doesn't matter where you're from.
Well, I must admit, we haven't been to America since 2000, my wife and I. But we're going to New York early December. And when you come to fill in, is it at Esther?
Yes.
I couldn't believe the questions they wanted to know. It was unreal. You know, it was things like, have you ever been involved in terrorist activity? Have you ever been a drug
only
dealer?
a couple of times.
You know,
Is that all right?
like you're going to put yes, you know, even if you have. You know.
It's mad.
And apparently, somebody was telling me the other day that she was filling it in, and she filled one in for her husband, and ticked a yes by mistake.
Oh no.
And what they didn't realise is they'd already got one outstanding that was running, that was still current. But because she'd filled this one, it overrid the other one. And when they got to the airport, they wouldn't let them fly.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, and they had to go back to the American embassy and say, "Oh, sorry, it was all a mistake." Oh, Jesus!
As I say, you know, the thing is, there's so much international respect for music of Britain, music of America, music of Europe, and it's just such a shame to limit the possibilities, you know. So all we can do is hope that things will change. There's lots of petitions happening and things. I've signed multiple petitions about the American visa situation and things, you know. But
well, they're just paranoid as hell, aren't they?
yeah, it's just the way of the world, isn't it?
You're going to sneak a bomb in with a guitar case or something like that.
What about a heart case?
Oh,
much
what
one
you
in
could
a
get in there?
In a
Wow,
heart case.
you could probably stick a few people in there.
Same.
Illegal immigrants coming in a heart case. Don't give me ideas.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good plan.
I'm not endorsing that, by the way.
No, you're not.
We're not endorsing.
People in your heart case.
When I was getting ready to come to this festival to help our Progmeister out, I normally cover sort of very different musical genres, so I did a crash course on all the bands that I played. And yours is one of the ones that sort of really stuck out for me and appealed to me.
Thank you.
The name Luna Rossa immediately sort of conjures up something quite mysterious and perhaps a little bit dark, you know, it's nighttime music. I think. And I was sort of curious as to types of subjects that you write about, and also whether you do actually compose at night time, whether it sort of suits that sort of vibe. So perhaps talk a little bit about you know, what kind of subjects you cover and the inspiration, perhaps.
Well, I think that there is something to that cliche that it's harder to write happy songs than
Somebody else said that yesterday.
Because generally speaking, if you're in a happy place, then
you're just busy being happy.
Yeah, busy being happy. Whereas if you're sad, you kind of want to get those feelings out, and one of the ways of doing that is
music's always been an avenue for those.
Yeah, but songwriting is a catharsis. You know, if you're someone that writes songs, we were talking about this last night as well. You know, about if you're musical by nature, then you tend to start writing songs quite early. I remember writing about 7 years old, starting to write songs. Probably not very good songs, but songs nonetheless.
She's got better.
I'll say we're looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah. I wrote a song for my school when I was 10 about the town. Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, we've got some happy songs, but there is probably a nocturnal sort of vibe, and I mean, I'm very much a nocturnal person. I do tend to write probably most at night, so you're right there. But in terms of the band name, it was kind of, we had lists and lists of different possible names, and couldn't agree on any of them. And also any that we thought, yeah, brilliant. We would check online and go, oh, there's 3 bands called that, because now with the internet you can find a band in sort of Peru or in somewhere in Asia, and that's already been taken. Anything you can think of, even if you put 5 random letters together, there's going to be a band. And in the end, I just woke up, I think, one day and just sort of thought, and I've got connections with Italy anyway. I've been there a few times and sung over there, and yeah, I used to do a lot of astrology years ago, draw charts for people, and so I was interested in the influence of the moon in our behaviour, and so that, and Luna is the moon, so Rossa is red, but it just it sort of, I think we just felt it.
Yeah, I think sometimes you can over-intellectualise. Sometimes you just hear it and you think, yeah, that fits.
Yeah.
And it was something I came up with, and I just thought, that works.
And then now, actually, there's a song on the new album which is actually called Red Moon, which is such a direct, So that's I thought it'd be nice to play with that and actually have a track, and that's kind of about being by a fireside. It's so this album, I think it's quite organic in its themes, and Deadly Nightshade is the second track. That inspired really the album title, Atropos. That's the belladonna theme. So there's a kind of a theme of nature, but poisons and temptations. That's kind of, for me anyway, that's how I envisage the flow of the album, there being temptations and maybe relationships which are disrupted by temptations, and then and also people how they're affected by that in their lives. And
I think we're quite happy people, even if a lot of the lyrics are dark.
I sort of find that once you excise the negative feelings from music, then you're just left with the positive.
Exactly, that's
right. I think people tend to think, you must be really depressed and miserable all the time because your lyrics are dark, and
I think they're surprised when they come.
They're fiction.
When they come to the gigs, and not necessarily fiction, but when you come to the gigs, I think because we're quite sort of jolly and kind of generally quite chatty and bantery on the stage, and then as soon as we're doing the song, it's very channeled and it can be quite dark. So it's, but they're both sides of yourself. So,
but I do like that in performance. I remember, if you've ever seen, there was a John Martin concert I think it was on Whistle Test years ago. But in between songs, he's just he's really funny. He swears a lot, and then the song starts, and it's like
focused in on the song.
He's doing Solid Air or something, and you think it's like somebody else. And I kind of like that idea that somebody's, kind of they're funny, and then when the music starts, it's like and it is that thing about don't take yourself seriously, but take what you do seriously.
And I think especially with an event like this, when it's a festival, I think the crowd, they want to, part of the reason they've all come together is they want to not just watch the songs, watch the band, but they want to experience being around the band and sort of seeing you walking around site and have a chat, and also when you're on stage. So if you can be more relaxed and sort of down to earth with them, I think that's a unique experience for them. They wouldn't necessarily get that at a different gig. And they can see you flustered to set up.
And I was saying, I think I was saying to Sarah the other day, it's as well as doing the music, I have a part-time job, which is in the NHS, and through doing music, I've got to meet people who are childhood heroes, and so I met Steve Hackett, and met Keith Ellison, and people, and as much as I admire them, at the same time I'm thinking, you make music, there are people I work with who save lives. So, it's all, you've got to keep a sense of perspective.
Guys, it's been absolutely brilliant speaking with you. Thank you very much for taking time to. Because obviously, I look like you staying the rest of the day.
We're staying for a little while.
I've got cats to feed.
Oh, nice. Can't leave the cat.
It's just rock and roll.
We're dog sitting at home, so
it's all about the animals.
doggies.
But we're going to stay. We're going to watch a bit of.
We are.
Bit of
Gold Ring.
Oh, okay.
And then we're going to have some lunch, and we might even have a wonderful
We
beach.
head back mid-afternoon or something.
Yeah.
Not the best beach in the world.
Yeah.
Because we're from the Gareth.
Oh,
Yeah.
We got some good
Pretty
beaches.
impressive, yeah.
you have.
But it's a beautiful
Bristly.
setting, and
Yes.
I don't know what's happening with the festival in the future, but I know next year is in Shepherd's.
Shepherd's
I
Bush
do
Empire.
hope they come back.
The year after it's in Great Yarmouth.
Oh,
Is it? I didn't
He's
know that.
booked
That'd
it for 5 years. Johnny's booked it for 5 years.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
We're trying
Yeah,
to
because
get
Mother
them
Black
up
Cap are from that neck of the woods,
Yeah.
and they have a festival over there called Capstock.
Right.
And they-
I used to go to Great Yarmouth,
Brilliant.
but that was where, because I'm from Essex originally, I used to go to Winterton-on-Sea, near Great Yarmouth, every year with my family growing up, so I know that area really well.
Yeah, I went when I was a kid.
That'd be lovely actually, if they can come up and...
In fact, I went about 10 years ago, and the fairground was still exactly the same
Right.
Yeah.
when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I thought, I went on that.
You're
Went
on
on
that.
5.
But I'm not going on it again.
No,
It's a lot
definitely not.
Look about this big now.
nice.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
Thank you for
having
having
us.
us. Thank you very much.
safe journey home.
Thanks,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Don't spell
Cheers.
more.